Hey guys, happy Thursday. Time for another one of my 25 Days of Christmas projects. Today we are just going to try something out that I saw on Pinterest and I thought it was cute. Looked like it would be easy, but you know how Pinterest projects go sometimes. They don't go quite as smoothly as you anticipate. So we will just try this together. So basically, what I did, and I don't know if her tutorial was quite as specific as possibly I needed. The girl, it was, I'm not even gonna remember. It's something with two P's, something petal and ply maybe. So I ran out to Walmart, and I know this is backwards, but I got this candy cane ribbon, and it is 30 foot long and 2 inches wide. Now, she had written down that she used 9 yards of fabric or ribbon, so this might be a little bit too long. Then you're supposed to get wire that is about the firmness of a coat hanger or the size of a coat hanger. So I have this stuff and it is 17 gauge. But I think that it's probably too pliable. It's probably too soft. It was really what I was planning on using, but I did grab some other wire here. This wire, I've had it forever, and I don't know what the gauge of it is. It is actually black, but it is a lot firmer. So I think that this is going to be a better wire to use. You can use a coat hanger. One of the tutorials I saw did that, and then she just, untwisted the hook part to separate the two so that she could thread it. Now, the reason I didn't want to use the black wire is because the black comes off onto your hands for some reason, and I didn't really want to get black all over my ribbon. But we're gonna try it and see what it does. Now, what the tutorial, I actually looked at a couple of them, and you're gonna start by unrolling all of your ribbon, okay? So I did that on 2 of my rolls. And then they are already folded over because these are the ones that have the wire edges. So they've already been folded over, and it said to glue them folded and then glue them together. But I really don't think that you need to even worry about gluing them folded. So I took my little glue gun, and what we're doing is gluing the 2 pieces together. That makes a nice finished end. And it's what kind of holds the ribbon together. When I first looked over this tutorial, I thought you had to glue the entire length of ribbon, but you don't. Neither one of the tutorials that I read that used a similar technique, they did not do that. So you're literally just making it so it's reversible ribbon. And then we're going to just start folding it so that it's about 3 inches. I always figure each little section of my finger is an inch. So that's gonna give me about my 3-inch mark. And then you're gonna fold it over. And this is the first time I've made one. I didn't do a practice one or anything. I just figured that I could handle it. So I don't know, in the tutorials that I read, I'm not sure if either one of the girls used ribbon with wire in it. I don't know if there's a reason why or why not. One of the girls' techniques, I'm hoping I get a better system than what I got going on right now. One of the girls used a big ribbon, and then on top of it used a smaller ribbon to give it a different look. So her stripe had a lot more white in it, and then she used a red skinny one over the top of it. So she put together 2 white ones and then put together 2 red ones and then put them on top of each other. One of the girls did the accordion kind of like what I'm doing, and then used something to, things aren't staying hooked on the table, use something to stab through all of the ribbon The other girl kind of threaded it onto her wire as she went. So we'll see if there's a better technique or not. You think so, Marilyn? Well, thanks for having confidence in me. I don't really do that many crafts. I did a long time ago, like when I was in 4-H. I mean, I always did 4-H projects. And I always liked making stuff at school. I always took art, but... So I think that having a wire ribbon is going to be a good idea, although it's not going to be as curvy now that I'm thinking about it because I'm smashing it. But I did buy some big needles so that I could use those on a different project, but I think that might help me thread these onto the wire. And I don't remember how much the ribbon was. I want to say $3 to $5. But once you get the ribbon on the metal, on the wire, then you can move around your loops. I think I'm getting offline here, out of line. So this morning, Dad and I worked on the barn, and it actually feels like it's getting close. So we worked on hanging some plywood. We've got, we're working on finishing the workshop that we did, a new workshop that we did, hanging plywood in there. And then I've got a couple of sections of wall that aren't going up exactly how we took them down because we moved kind of the placement of a wall, and then one of the sections had doors, and I sold some of the doors, and so they don't, match up perfectly. So I need to figure out what I need to do there, and I need to boss Dad around for that because he doesn't like to have to think. He wants me to say where I want it. Today the big argument was, how many screws do you want in this? I don't care, Dad. My dad is the kind of person that something needs like two nails and he puts in 20. So I don't know why he asks me my opinion, because he really doesn't care what my answer is. And then in the spring, right now the metal on the outside has like green trim on it, but I'm going to paint that white. So it's just gonna be all white here at some point. But I think we have a little bit of decent weather this weekend, and then it's supposed to be like single to low teens next week. So not gonna be painting anytime soon. And I'm thinking that my 30 foot is way longer than 9 yards. Who knows the conversion, and I didn't Google it or anything to see. So I might end up cutting this, or I could cut it, but then I could just make another wreath. Wreaths are one thing that I think are easy to change out for the holidays, although maybe a little bit more difficult to store. I've got strings of hot glue hanging here. So I'm curious if any of you guys made some planters after I made the planters. Now I need to make a couple of more, and actually my neighbor said she has some greenery, so I need to run over there here in a bit and pick that up. And then I think another suggestion was Solmac, maybe? I don't remember, some S word that's red. And I think I've actually seen some, I had to Google it, but I think I've actually seen some out at around the lake, so I might have to drive around there and get some red. The red twigs that I had just aren't quite the pop of color that I wanted for the planters, but I don't want to go buy anything either. So if I can find something else, that would be wonderful. High sprinkle. And then one of the tutorials that I looked at on Pinterest where it's pretty much the same technique, she actually had hers in the shape of a heart. So she used red and white ribbon, but it wasn't the same candy cane idea that of the first girl that I read her blog. So do you guys do very many Pinterest projects? Or do you just pin them and think about doing them? Say the shop is open this week because it's a holiday sampler up on the Centerville Square. And how that works is basically you start at the Chamber of Commerce and then they give you a list of all the participating businesses. And then you go around and you can taste test whatever that business is providing on Saturday, and then you get the recipe card. So my kids have always enjoyed walking around the square and doing it, and then I'm participating also, even though I'm not technically on the square. And I'm going to have peanut butter cookies, and they are not your normal peanut butter cookies. They are very moist. You use sweetened condensed milk in the recipe. So they're not dry and crunchy like probably a traditional peanut butter cookie. I have put kisses in them before. I probably won't. The original recipe didn't call for the kisses, but that's kind of more the taste of this peanut butter cookie. Had a phone call. I did not put my do not disturb on. I normally try and put my do not disturb on. Carrie, you do Pinterest projects, so what's a Pinterest project you've done recently? You wanted to decorate your milk can, and when you went to do it, it was gone. What? Someone stole it? That's crazy. I've lost one milk can at the shop, but honestly, I don't think somebody stole it or they didn't steal it intentionally, because it was like when we had like a really, I don't know if a gentle tornado is the right word, but I was out of town, and I know we had a lot of high winds in town at the shop, and I think it just blew away. But my neighbor one time at the shop, he had one of those big metal roosters, and it got stolen. So he got another one that's actually, it's a little bit smaller. And he has that staked into the ground, probably like with big chains, probably like 5 different ways. It's like no one's stealing this thing again. Oh, you mostly knitting. Oh, you get your patterns off of Pinterest. I learned to knit like one Christmas, and I made people blankets, and then I've never done anything again. And it's one of those things that I think that I don't even know how your brain can comprehend where things go. I mean, a blanket, you know, you can figure that out. But if I was having to follow a pattern and do a certain thing, I don't think I could do it. It's definitely an acquired skill. So I hope this turns out. This ribbon is really nice. It feels, it's kind of got velvet where the red stripes are. And I bought 3 rolls just in case. I probably should have bought 4, but I can't remember if there were 4 because pretty much everything at our Walmart is gone already. Okay, so I'm getting to the end, and it's kind of funny that it's not the same length. So I'll cut them off to make them the same length, and then I need to hot glue them. I didn't do that before. And I don't have any scissors right here, so hang on a second. I didn't plan on them not being the same length. Got that tape stuck to my fingers. And these are crappy scissors. Okay, so we're going to, I'll just fold it over since it's got the wire. Then we're gonna hot glue those two pieces together. Which, you know what, I'm not thinking. I need to make it the same. Three inches. So that my loops end up the same. Okay, so now we'll glue the bottom. And I'm gonna go down a little bit lower. You like my little hot glue gun? I think I got that at an auction in some box. So I have probably, and I brought them all in here because I know one of my favorite ones to use wasn't working the last time I tried to do a project. So I have like 4 hot glue guns because they always seem to be in a box at auction. Okay, so what I got is, I don't even know what this would be called, like a punch for leather possibly. It's pretty sharp here on the end. I use it for all kinds of projects. And I'm just going to guesstimate where halfway is. You use Pinterest more for guidance, Chas? It's a starting point for decorating, yep. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. I don't want to stab myself. We'll see how many we're getting through. Okay, before we start putting the wire, balance that. I actually brought a number 3 quart, whatever, crock up here because I wanted to have something to use as a form for my ring because I feel like I wanted to get off on a good foot. Whoops. So I'm wrapping it around the crock to have a nice circular shape, even though we're going to have to bend it a little bit to put the ribbon on. And then with my wire cutters, I'm cutting it a little bit long. And how you finish it off is you're just going to, the directions said to use white duct tape. Well, I definitely don't need it to be white because I ended up using the black. The black wire, but also I didn't have any white electrical tape anywhere. And actually what I got, because I'd planned on using the silver, was just masking tape. Okay, so if you look at my ends, this one looks a lot more user-friendly, so I'm going to go with this end that's like, doesn't have a little wave in it. And then we're just gonna start threading and hoping that black doesn't get all over. We'll just see how many that hole poked through. So my wire is a little thicker than that punch. I'm calling it a punch. I don't know if that's what it is or not. There, I just need to shove it in farther. So I'm being ambitious and trying to go through 2 loops at a time. So I'm glad I grabbed that because I don't think the needle would have been strong enough. Okay. I'm doing it like this because then I can at least see that little hole, so I know where the center is to keep it all in line to stab the next one through. I honestly probably use Pinterest the most for food because I don't know why I can't think of things to cook for dinner. And my kids are super picky. It's like they love something until I think I cook it too much, and then they start hating it. And they don't like very much stuff to begin with. And then I didn't gather anything, but you need like a smaller ribbon or like a little, I can think of some little vintage tinsel that I have at the shop that would be cute with this. But something to kind of cover up the end where you end up taping it, and something that you can use to hang it from. Let's see. Hi, Rhonda. Are you recuperating? Probably Netflix binging. I'm getting off center here. So pretty much every day this week when I've done a video, my dad has tried to join in on the video. So we'll see if he comes knocking on the door, even though I told him that I was going to be busy. I'm very lucky that my dad can help me, because otherwise we would still be working on the barn, or I would have hired somebody, but it would have been way more expensive. You wish you had my patience. Hi, Rhonda. Say, I don't feel like I'm a very patient person. Marilyn, we'll just be honest there. What I should do is get some of these out of my way, maybe? I don't know. If I push very hard on the wire, it's wanting to bend, and I want it to keep its form. Well, we hope it turns out nice, right? The nice thing about doing something like this, though, is that you can reuse it year after year. Let's not be getting my hole as big as I think that I am. Should be getting better at making a hole, not worse at making a hole. I think part of it is I snag part of the ribbon, and then that closes that opening. deep in concentration. Darn it, I bent it. Oh, Marla, my neighbor, is looking for, a pallet tree. Does anybody have one of those in their yard? Especially someone local? She's doing a scavenger hunt, which I think is a great activity, great idea. And normally Centerville Produce here in town has one, or they've had a couple, and they don't have theirs out this year. Oh, we're nearing the end. Moment of truth. Hopefully it turns out. If I don't have enough ribbon, I will just cut the wire. This just occurred to me. I'll just cut the wire shorter and make a smaller circle. Or if I have too much, I will just unthread it. So I'm glad I got that tool because I don't think a needle would have been strong enough to do it. I am going to use the needle for a different project this month with burlap. I know I have a needle somewhere, like one of those big fat ones. Again, I got it in a box at an auction, and I know it's one of those things that I laid it somewhere because it's like, I'm going to use this someday. I'm going to need this someday. And of course, now that I would like to use it, I can't find it. Which I have been really working on my workshop, getting it organized. I don't know what's wrong with my Echo Dot. I've got the old one, and my daughter says it is not as good as the newer one that she has. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and tape it. If it's not, if I don't have enough ribbon or something, I can always change it. And I'm thinking that I'll just be able to cover up the tape with one, the ribbon, and two, whatever I put on here to hang it from. And if it really bothers me because you can see the tape, I can always push the ribbon back and use some black tape. Go find some black tape. I know we have green duct tape in the house because everybody has green duct tape. And then I think that and this is probably about it. Mailman was already here, so Bella already would have gone psycho. All right, we're getting closer, more moment of truth. We'll see if if the ribbon will even go over that. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see okay. Trying to be gentle so I don't bend the wire out of circle any more than it already is. Let's see. That looks perfect. So then we need to basically go through every ribbon and curve it instead of having it bent like this with the wires. That's why I'm not sure if those other girls had wires on theirs. But when I bought this, it was the right color, and that's what I was looking at more so than what it was made out of. Okay. Have to undo the tape, or jam a hole right where the other hole is, stretch it out a little bit. I'm not sure. Well, my idea of overlapping quite a bit wasn't a good idea. There, I got a little of it. So I'm just putting the sharp edge of the tool right next to the ring to just make my hole a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to come at it from the other side so I can get those loose ends on the tape. That'll kind of hold them there, I think. And really, hindsight, which I don't know how you would know, how you would figure it out, but it'd be nice if both of my ends were the same way, and then you could glue those together. But you can see here that here's one end and here's one end, so I'll have to figure out something to do with that. So right now I'm just gonna try and like evenly distribute the ribbon. I'm gonna have to get another one on the tape for sure, at least one. Trying to do it without bending the wire. So now if you guys do this, I want to see what it looks like. Yeah, Katie, I think it'll be cute when it gets done. Hi, Pat. You're doing better than you thought you were going to, Rhonda. That's good. Oh, yeah, not being able to get up and move around, I'm sure, makes a difference. But it's probably good for you to be forced to take a break. I'm going to do one more since I put too much tape on it. I overlapped the wire too much, I think. But I'll know for the next one if I ever do it again. And you will know for yours. I would just butt the ends up together. You could even have the tape be like the bridge between the two pieces of wire. I don't know why when I'm stabbing it, must be getting some thread in between it, and the old hole and the new hole has some thread between it, I guess, even though it doesn't look like it. And I just have really thick wire right there. Okay, we got it. Okay, so looking better. All right, let's just try and start. We're gonna have to smooth out. Maybe the wire was not a good idea. Maybe I should have paid attention to that more. Because if it was more like fabric, it would just do this on its own. You know what I mean? It would just straighten out, and I wouldn't had to have been probably so careful on folding it. That process probably would have gone faster too. So now I'm just hoping that I didn't bend it so much that it's always going to want to keep going to that bend. But we will get it to look good. This might take us longer. So this is what we're wanting to happen. It's just been a longer project, but these projects are good to do like when you're watching TV or listening to music. And I think this is going to be probably too full. And then I'm going to want to unwire it and take that tape out. After I worked hard on getting the hole big. But it won't be for complete loss because I could still reuse that wire, or not the wire, reuse the ribbon. And I am lifting it up and making sure to try and straighten or flatten both sides, the top and the bottom. I think it's going to be pretty when it's done though. And I do think that it is important, since I didn't know exactly how big of ring to create or how much ribbon to use, that when you're fluffing this, if you get the ones that have the wire on them as well, I would make sure to like fluff it, pretty it from one side, work from one side to the other. Don't start up here where both of our ends are and work a little bit each way, because I have a feeling I'm going to be taking some of these off. And then probably once I take them off, I'm going to probably go back around and straighten them a little bit, just because I want it to look nice. So if that was 30 feet, I would say you could probably get by with 15. So you could buy one roll of 30 foot and fold it in half and glue those two ends together to get your double backing. And the reason you want to have a pretty front and a pretty back is because you're gonna see both. Okay, so time to strategize a little bit. Here's what we got so far. Here's all the extra. So that's why I'm saying that even though I don't want to take this apart, I'm probably gonna need to. So I can at least see an end here. Always push away from you so you don't jab yourself. Same thing with cutting stuff. and I would know that from experience. Okay, so I'm going to cut where that tape is left over with my wire cutters. And then we're gonna kind of, got a little bit of tape on this side still. Just sliding it off. Okay, so we're gonna take a little bit off. Okay, I'm just gonna hold the end so no more more of the ribbon can't slide off. I'm gonna try and straighten these, soften the edges a little bit. Okay, we are gonna risk it. We're gonna make an executive decision. Since the other one ends with the loose end up, I'm gonna actually end this one with the loose end up. I'm gonna keep this because I can always make a small one with it since I've already done all of that work. And then I'm going to barely fold these under. Hot glue them together. Say, brother, how can it not go back on? There we go. Okay, we're going to do one thing of tape. And I'm going to butt it together instead of overlapping it. And I'm cutting that tape because I just ended up folding it together instead of rolling it together. Then I'm going to put these two ends together. Because if nothing else, you could attach, you know, a ribbon right here, and it's going to kind of cover up where you have your seam anyway. I'm going to try and keep my seam on that tape. And I can kind of tell that my circle has a little bit of wave to it because part of the ribbon is off the table and part of the ribbon is on the table. And I just unhooked the darn thing. Say, but it's not going anywhere because we glued the ribbon together. So I'm trying to hold on to that end just so I don't pull it apart again. But I need to move these over and make them a little bit tighter so we have room for a couple that I haven't smoothed out yet. So if you guys do one, I would love for you to share it with me so I can see how yours turned out. I feel like I need to do another one without the wire. So here's what we're looking like right now. And you can see that even though we didn't glue the two pieces of ribbon together, you still can't really tell that they're two pieces of ribbon. They stay together very well. Okay, we seem pretty tight right there. So I'm just kind of looking, make that one a little bit smaller. And if we need to disguise anything, we can always have the ribbon that we use to hang it disguise stuff. Because you can put that right where your error or mistake is. So here. All right, I think it turned out pretty good. So up here is where we have the tape. I would say probably could have done like maybe a little bit less on the ribbon, maybe like one loop left, but first time, you never know how something's gonna turn out until you try it, right? Can I glue the ends of the wire together? I probably could with the hot glue gun. I'd still think you'd have to be a little bit careful with it when you're pulling apart. So where am I putting it? I don't know. Probably the mudroom because I have that white vent in there, and I normally put a wreath on it, and I haven't put a wreath on it, or not on that, but in that room I normally put a wreath in there, and I haven't yet. So I think that'll look cute, and I will share a picture of it when I get it hung up. So thanks guys for watching, and stay tuned for 25 Days of Christmas, tomorrow's post.